G'day there guys, it's your Aussie Hubby Markee, back at it again with another r/legal advice video. Now if you love me like I love you, you know what to do. I want you to mosey on over to that old like button and tackle it like Crocodile Dundee. Maybe even chuck an Aussie flag down to the comments. Now with that out of the way, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and get ready for some good bloody legal advice. And our first post is by user Just Do Reviews, titled, I Do Reviews. I received a cease and desist after the publisher reached out for ways to improve. Hello. Now, I am not some big reviewer. I barely have 10k subs on YouTube, and I do it more as a hobby and not anywhere near a job. Recently, I posted a review about a newly released game. It was very critical on a lot of points in the game, but nowhere was I saying anything that was a lie. For some crazy reason, this video received a massive influx of views, compared to my normal 8 to 13k, and received over 1.6 million views. The publisher reached out to me and wanted some of my personal info on how to improve the game, and what they could do to make it more enjoyable. I was ecstatic, and extremely happy that the company wanted my opinion, of all people, on what to improve or change. I was assuming they reached out to a lot of people to get a pool of ideas, and maybe hopefully implement them and improve the game. Towards the end of our emails, they asked me for my name and address to mail out some swag for my time and effort in the emails. I sent probably several pages of ideas and issues, etc. So thought cool, a poster or something would be nice. Today I received a letter that contains a cease and desist about the game, claiming if I continue to spread false information and affect sales, I will be sued. It also demanded I remove the review immediately. I have privated the video but have yet to actually delete it. What can I do here? Are my opinions on a game not protected, or can I actually be sued for this? Edit, typo in title, sorry on mobile. Edit 2, I will not be making the video public again until I have some more solid info. I will also not be making a follow-up video as I do not want to poke a bear. I cannot afford an attorney to fight even a frivolous lawsuit. My state of Colorado does not have anti-slap laws. I've emailed F and a few other attorneys who specialize in the industry and hope to hear back. I'm also not linking my YouTube channel. I'm not here for subs or views, just some advice. Thank you everyone. Well, if nothing you've said is a lie or false information, then it doesn't seem like they really have anything on you. If you get sued, get a lawyer and respond. I'm not a lawyer, but unless they actually file a suit against you, then I'd ignore them and just stop contacting them. In the future, you might be a little more cautious about giving out personally identifiable information. Look, I wasn't super worried about sharing information on myself with a huge company. Nothing I said was a lie, and in comparison to a few other reviews out there, was not even the worst by far. I can't see myself affording a lawyer over something I do for fun, unfortunately. This all depends. Do you want to fight? Are you able to finance a fight? If not, then the easiest thing to do is just comply. On the other hand, I'm assuming you're in the US. If you are willing to fight and really have made no false statements of fact, or that any such statements are minor in nature, such that they are not knowingly false or made with reckless disregard for the truth, you can ignore them. Or you can send them a picture of your middle finger with a copy of the First Amendment enclosed. Or you can send them a letter similar to that sent to a Brown season ticket holder years ago and return the letter to them with a note that you thought they would want to know something was signing their name to nonsensical bullcrap. Then you ignore them until they file a lawsuit. At that point, you hire an attorney. Assuming you haven't done so before, they actually file suit, which would be highly recommended if you want to antagonize them with my second or third options. Any strategy but taking it down has the drawback of likely getting you sued, even if you can win. Options 2 and 3 above significantly increase the odds that you would be sued. However, truth is a defense of defamation, and opinion is also protected. So while litigation of defamation case could run into tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to defend, you would have a defense. You don't say what state you're in, so it's unclear if you'll be able to take advantage of an anti-slap law, and force them to pay your legal fees if you won. While I'm all for defending speech, I cannot afford to. While I'm all for defending free speech, I can't afford to. I live in Colorado if that changes anything, but if the initial fees still come out of my pocket, there is no way I could fight it. So, Colorado doesn't have an anti-slap law, and in any event, yes, the funds typically would come out of your pocket first, although some firms might be willing to do it as a semi-pro bono thing. You could try reaching out to some local firms, or more likely national firms, about the letter you received, how to respond, and if they would be willing to defend the case on a pro bono basis, if you were sued. Of course, it's always your call, but it would appear based on nothing but these facts that you would have a better position should litigation ensue. And now, update. Cease and desist letter after posting a review on YouTube and tricked by developer for address/name. So it's been an interesting 2 months. After my post, I started contacting a few attorneys locally and eventually had to call the state bar for a referral because of the type of possible laws. Not a lot of people handle that like a normal lawyer does. That's usually family/criminal. I finally found an attorney that understood what I was talking about and wanted a link to the Reddit post and agreed with the majority of the top advice I received. He accepted a small retainer of $250 to respond to the cease and desist that I received and a few possible future letters and calls. He responded asking them exactly what statements I made that were false and requested exact times in the videos that the statements were made. Since I previously privated the video, we had to give them a different link. He also outlined what will happen should they continue, stating that during discovery, he will be requesting all communication between QA, playtesting, developers, and management to see if they were aware of these bugs/issues that may compromise a customer's experience while playing, etc. It also included a paragraph basically calling them out for reaching out to me and lying about swag and wanting feedback, to get my information to send a cease and desist instead of going through the proper legal channels to obtain this, and the fact that I still have yet to receive any swag, that this is clearly the case. Also included that they needed to preserve all the emails they sent to other reviewers because it's of interest in the possible upcoming legal action. He also requested they preserve all sorts of other communications between QA, developers, etc. So after he had confirmed receipt of the letter, we waited and waited. Nothing for about a month, but then I received 3 large boxes containing games, posters, statues, a custom PS4 limited edition console, bobbleheads, Funko Pops, just every piece of swag I think they have for 3 to 4 of their games, and a letter saying, "Sorry it took so long for us to get this swag out to you." My attorney sent out another letter asking about the status and their position on the cease and desist, and we received a letter back with only a few sentences, basically saying they made a mistake, and we can expect no further correspondence on the matter, and that the video can be reinstated if we so wish. He sent out another asking about the lost revenue, due to me having to private the video since they admitted it was a mistake. They sent out a check for $500 and some papers I need to sign, basically saying the issue is over and I won't sue them. Thank you, legal advice. I didn't get sued, and after it all, I came out ahead. I'm still not going to link my channel or the video or the name of the company in question, but thanks for all your help. And now on to our next post, by Croquem Boucher. My brother-in-law stole my kittens and sold them. Police aren't helpful, and the new owner is not budging. Do I have any recourse? PA. So around a month ago, I found 2 kittens in my backyard with no sign of their mother around. Their eyes weren't even open yet. I took them in and started feeding them kitten formula and trying to get them to survive. My husband and I planned on keeping both. Since they were just strays, we have no proof of ownership beyond vet bills. While I was at work a few days ago, my brother-in-law came over to see my husband. Apparently, my husband was in the bathroom, he scooped them up, put them in his sweatshirt pocket and left the house. Later that evening, he admitted he'd taken them over text, and that he'd sold them to his co-worker because he needed the money. We went to the police station and tried to file a report, but as soon as the words brother-in-law left my mouth, the police told me it was a civil matter that had to be worked out in the family. I managed to find the co-worker on social media, because she began posting pictures of them. She's just been telling me that she's already attached and variations of too bad, so sad. I'm so worried she's not caring for them correctly. They're still small, and that they're going to die. Is there any legal recourse for me here to get my kittens back, since technically my brother-in-law stole and sold my property? Are the police being lazy? Does this woman have to give them back? The police officer who told you it's a civil matter stopped listening to you. Call your police station again and state that property was stolen from you. If you get the same person, ask for a sergeant. I can't tell you how often I hear and see stories about family stealing from family, whether it's an animal, money, or that one dish that was special, but you somehow got it in the inheritance from mum. It doesn't matter, it's still theft. Your kittens, unfortunately in the eyes of the law, are still property. It doesn't matter if it was your brother-in-law or your mum or your neighbor that you invited that one time for dinner, it's still theft. My guess is that the officer you talked to initially was hoping that it could be handled civilly. That's why they tried to pawn it as a civil manner. Hopefully your brother-in-law wasn't willing to wreck the family relationship over the issue. Call the PD again, press your point, the new owners are in possession of stolen property. They might be more willing to work with you once they receive a call from PD. Source, work in law enforcement and unfortunately have seen this all too often. If they do give you back the kittens, you have the option to drop charges. Do not feel that you have to take this to criminal trial. The DA will often drop charges without a willing participant, especially in these circumstances. Don't call, go to the station. Do not indicate that you spoke to a prior officer unless they asked about it. This is a really crappy situation, I agree. Go to the station and don't take no for an answer. Kittens are still property, and by you actively caring for them and paying money towards their well-being, they have become yours. Make clear that due to their age, you are concerned about their well-being, and if the officers do not take swift action, they could die. Best of luck to you, OP. The first thing that comes to mind is documentation. Do you have the papers? If so, I believe you at least have a case. You should probably talk to a lawyer. This seems like theft. I have vet bills, but that's it. Vet bills count. You can return to the police with copies of those and explain that the new owner accepted stolen property and your main concern is that they're so young, they need specialized care. I would push that point and escalate up the chain of authority in the station if an initial officer won't help you. You can show them the text exchange as well. He was not authorized to take the cats, so push the theft angle. If none of that works, you will have to take it to court. Additionally, you can explain to the new owner that they are too young to survive on their own, and they need specialized care. And now, update. My brother-in-law stole my kittens and sold them. Police aren't helpful, and new owner is not budging. Do I have any recourse? I got a lot of good advice, so I just wanted to thank everyone and let you know what happened. I went back to the station and managed to talk to a police officer who was actually interested in doing his job. I showed him the texts, the conversations with a co-worker, and copies of the vet bills. He went to have a chat with this co-worker, and she voluntarily gave the kittens up. My cats are home safe. She did deny that she paid for them while talking to the officer, but I don't know what to believe. Someone did suggest on my post that I go through my belongings to see if brother-in-law had stolen anything else. It turns out some stuff was missing, though nothing too precious because we didn't notice it missing right away. Still, I believe we will be pursuing this with the police as well. Well heck, that sucks. Anyway guys, we're on to our next post. Maids throw away $12.82. Pharmacy gave my controlled substance prescription to someone else. Refuses to admit they were in the wrong, refuses to refill my prescription, refuses to tell my doctor they screwed up, and is telling me they cannot help me until they do a month-long investigation? Jesus. I take a medication which is considered a controlled substance. If I don't have my medication, I struggle to function properly. I go to a common pharmacy chain in Ontario, Canada. Last Monday, I went to collect my refill of my medication. They were not able to fully fill the full balance, so instead provided me with a week's worth of my medication, and told me to collect the balance on the following day. On Wednesday evening, I went to collect my balance, only for the pharmacy technician to tell me she could not find my prescription. After taking my information, she told me that I had already collected my remaining balance Tuesday afternoon. I denied me ever doing this, and was told she could not help me and I would need to come in Thursday morning to talk to the head pharmacist to explain the situation. Thursday morning, I went and talked to the head pharmacist who insisted that I already collected my remaining balance, which I denied repeatedly. Told her to confirm via their security cameras that it was not me collecting the medication, which she did. now repeatedly insisted that I allowed someone else to collect my remaining balance. I told her I have no one allowed to do that on my file except my parents, who neither of them is alive anymore. Unfortunately, she told me she could not help me further, and I need to report my medication as stolen, which I refused to do because I never received my balance, and I felt that would be me admitting fault on my part. I called my doctor and explained my situation, and he immediately called the pharmacy. The head pharmacy tech told him that they dispensed my prescription to me. He told me unfortunately he cannot reissue me my prescription, unless the pharmacy admits wrongdoing. The head pharmacist basically told me she could do nothing for me and asked me to leave or security would be called. I went home and called the corporate number of the pharmacy and explained everything to them. They agreed to open an investigation, however, told me this could take well over a month to get a result. They gave me a case number and recommended that I make alternative arrangements with my doctor. On Friday, I called my doctor again and explained everything one more time. He was sympathetic, however, he told me he cannot reissue my prescription unless the pharmacy admits they screwed up, because it is a controlled substance. Can anyone help me, or tell me what the hell I should be doing here? I also take a controlled medication. The other post is absolutely correct. File a police report as your medicine was stolen. It was, just from the pharmacy. The police report should allow your doctor to replace the script. Thanks, I will do that now. Often, if you file a police report, the doctor will reissue the script. Insurance can do an override to make sure your medication is covered at the same price. The pharmacy will have to work out on their end. Make sure they don't try to charge you their cash price. They kind of sound like arse-hats. The pharmacy is probably hoping that the video footage would be overwritten, and then it would be your word against theirs. The police report and internal investigation will help you out. Contact corporate again next week and ask where to email a copy of the police report. Pharmacist here. We generally record identification for whomever is picking up the prescription, but your chain may not do that. If they had, it's as simple as looking up the controlled substance pickup log. I'm assuming because it's gotten this far they didn't do that. Ask them to show you a picture of the person who picked it up. Believe it or not, family and friends who know you are on that medicine may have intercepted it. Happens a lot, unfortunately. Druggy's gonna drug. Now, one of the two things happened. Either someone knew your medicine was there and picked it up without your consent, or the pharmacy majorly screwed up and gave someone else your prescription by accident. It happens occasionally. Same name, same date of birth, mistakenly identifying someone else as you. Normally, there are protocols in place to mitigate this risk, but it does happen. I think if they refuse to show you who picked it up, they probably really screwed up. File the police report, as others have said. Doing that will pressure the pharmacy into cooperating, and your doctor can write you another script. You should realize that the fact that people try this crap all the time, where they say they didn't get their med when in fact they did, so I'm not surprised that the pharmacy staff may not trust that you or someone else you know picked it up. They are controlled drugs because they are addictive and can get you high. People do the craziest crap to try and game the system. And our next post, Cat Throwaway 998, Illinois. My mother has 300 plus cats in her house and an entire bedroom full of birds. Help. I moved to Europe for work a decade ago and have not been back to the States for nearly 3 years, since my dad died. I felt bad leaving my mother alone. However, money was tight and I was not able to afford to visit. She had numerous friends, so I assumed she'd be okay. I came to visit finally, yesterday, and my mother's health, unfortunately, seems to have declined more than she let on. The whole house is full of cats. Hundreds of cats. Some of them looking to be pregnant, and some of them already have litters. 300 may be an understatement. I asked her where they came from, and she didn't have an answer for me. I told her she needs to get rid of them, but she insisted they were better off with her. To make matters worse, the guest room has been filled entirely with various birds. Parakeets, finches, a swan, she says it's a swan, and various others I can't identify. I estimate there's 50 plus birds, and they look as if they've been breeding. All the animals have food as far as I know, but the smell is unbearable, and this cannot be sanitary. You can't move without stepping on a cat. Who do I call? The police? I'd prefer if there was a way to resolve this without her getting charged for animal cruelty. She's just a harmless old lady who is suffering from dementia. Next morning edits. Please don't PM me with offers of help. I want to remain anonymous. I don't want the media to show up or anything. Thank you. Who do I call? Adult Protective Services. I work with seniors and adults who require help to live at home. I wish I had gold to give you, because APS is exactly the agency that needs to be engaged. They will be able to assist on so many fronts, and be able to get the ball rolling with all the other agencies who will have to be involved. Edit, someone awesome gave me gold for this, and I really appreciate it. Also, seriously, if you know an adult who cannot manage completely on their own, APS can help by either getting directly involved, or by pointing you to the other services who can step in and try and make things better. But what do you do in this situation if the mother refuses help? I'm seriously asking because I'm currently going through a similar situation. Kind of. Mentally ill mother, but no animal hoarding, and she's refusing all help. There's nothing that anyone can do if she does this. The barrier for involuntary commitment is shockingly high in my state. If she has dementia or mental illness, that is severe enough to have an unsafe home. APS may still be able to help. They can let you know what resources are available either way. Depending on the mental illness, she may still be considered sound of mind and responsible for her own care. I am in Canada. Here, APS can arrange and pay for home support workers to check in and make sure meds are taken, meals are made, and that things are tidy. There is a really good chance that the police will be understanding if you lead with the fact that she has dementia and that you had no idea it had gotten this bad. This may sound a little scary, but I have a little experience with an animal hoarder. Unfortunately, when the animal control officers came to collect the animals, my friend got aggressive and ended up getting arrested by attacking the cops. To them, the police were trying to steal their babies. Your best option may be to find a safe place to have your mum while the animals are being removed from the house to prevent this. Another thing to consider is she might blame you, and that is something that you have to deal with. If you have power of attorney, or can get it while going through this process, it may make the whole thing go smoother. It will also help in the event that there are charges filed against her to reinforce that she is not well. I can probably convince her to stay in a hotel for a day or two. Honestly, I just want the sea of cats gone. It's difficult to think that they're literally everywhere. I can only imagine. It has to be a difficult situation to be surprised with like this. I hope you can get her the help that she needs. Also ask the doctors about Toxoplasma gondii when you take her in for a checkup. It's a parasite that may be linked to worsening mental illness in seniors that can be carried by cats. I'm not a medical professional, I just remember it from a TV show and googled it to check the name. And now, update. They removed all the cats from my mum's house. Animal control and the police were called, and it took them until today to get here. Over the weekend, I took my mother to a hotel, and she said she was happy that I cleaned up for some mother-daughter time. She also thanked me for getting her a new bed. She couldn't comprehend that we weren't in her house. Animal control, with a lot of help, confiscated all the cats except 2, and all of the birds. For those debating it, no, it was not a swan, but a young duck. I should probably have known, but I wasn't going to take a second peek into that room. The total cat count was 213, and the total bird count was 87. There were a significant amount more that were unfortunately dead. Many of the cats were sick and may have to be euthanized. My mother is extremely upset. She has been admitted to the hospital for reasons I would rather not get into. I don't know if the house is savable, the situation is still being assessed. I'm sorry it's not a happy update, but at least I'm no longer drowning in cats. And our next post, and last one for the day. Today I came home to a new fence in my backyard, and nobody knows where it came from. Yeah, it kinda sticks out like a bit of a sore thumb, doesn't it? What is going on there? So this is in Delaware, USA, no HOA. We live in a row home, and the house attached to ours is vacant. It's been on the market since before we moved in, and nobody's lived in it for at least 7 years. There was a small cast iron fence between the 2 yards on my property line that went from under the fire escape to the brick garage, which you can see in the image. I removed that fence as it was on my property about a month ago and installed a brand new beautiful sod. Well, I come home today and this disgusting, mismatched, random combination of fences has been erected between the yards. Part of it goes over my property line, crushing the sod at the bottom of the fire escape. The leprechauns, or whoever installed it, stepped all over my grass to do so, and to top it all off, they gave us the ugly side, which is totally against fence etiquette. I don't know who owns it, so I called the real estate agent. He was just as shocked as I was when I told him that there had been a fence built at the house that he is selling. He had no idea. He'll be in contact with the owner of the property tomorrow, but she is a 70-year-old woman who doesn't live here, and he said he can't imagine why she would have a fence built. I asked my neighbor on the other side if she saw anything. She didn't. What do I do about this fence? You mentioned the house is for sale. It looks to me like squatters put the fence up to make it harder to see people coming and going next door. Has the house been broken into in the past? They could be trying to use it as a drug house. Yeah, the house has been broken into before and totally gutted. Copper wire stolen. Basically nothing inside but bare walls at this point. Former zoning official here. Get the city involved ASAP, take pictures of every of the fence, including the front of home behind you. You can call the police, but this is not their specialty. Call your zoning or planning department immediately and ask your zoning enforcement officer to check on this. Get your property surveyed in the meantime to verify your boundary lines. I agree with those of you who say to put a camera on the back of your home. This is very fishy, and if I were you, I would not hesitate to act upon this. It might be a renter who the real estate agent is unaware of, but it could be squatters, and that is a real nightmare for the owner and their neighbors. Edited to add, if you know the home is empty and no one should be there, let your zoning enforcement know so they can force the owner to properly secure the building. Call the local building department to see if the installation required a permit, and if someone attained it. They might cite the homeowner and require it removed. This is a good idea to check, but I'm curious. I'd never think to pull a permit to build a fence. Is that required in some places? You should always check to see if a permit is required when doing any work on your home. I inquired if a permit was required to upgrade our bathroom. The building inspector said a neighboring town required a permit just to replace a toilet. I know someone that got screwed by jerks over a fence permit. Normally, a fence permit is not required for your backyard. They were installing a fence around their backyard, but because they have a corner lot, there is some stupid rule that says they needed a permit. No one in town has ever heard that before. So they had half-built/ugly fence for 2 years before the stupid county approved it so they could finish the install. Corner side yards have a lot of nuances. It is a backyard. The side yard was not fenced in, just like on any other house. The fence got approved anyways, but took 2 years to wait for a decision. It was really pathetic and embarrassing for the county to act like that. The fence looks like it's just sitting there on top of the ground. It looks like it could fall over at any second and be dangerous. If it is on your property, I might go about calling the police, someone trespassing on your land, and then remove it. It seems to be just held there by a couple of boards per section. Remove the nails/screws and put it in a pile. Also get a camera pointed that way. And now onto our update. I found the fence on Thursday. Saturday, I was having about a dozen people over for a family birthday party, so the eyesore of a fence had to go, one way or another. So on Friday morning, I had a follow-up call with a realtor who knew nothing about the fence, and he told me that the homeowner didn't either. I called my neighborhood civil council president to let him know about it, and he told me about encroachment issues, as the fence was on my property, but also let me know that in my city, a permit is not required to build this type of fence. I took many commenters' advice and installed security cameras around my house, 2 of which either have full or partial view of the neighboring backyard. I also took to heart the idea that there may be squatters living in or preparing to live in the house next door. If I find anything on my security cameras indicating there may be squatters, I'll be informing the police. So on Friday afternoon, I removed the fencing in its multiple different pieces and gently leaned them against the brick garage, with the exception of one door-sized section, which I put against the basement door in case there were indeed squatters entering through there. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday came and went without any indication that the yard was entered again, and the fencing over the basement door hasn't moved. We still don't know who built the fence or why, but it doesn't seem like anyone cares, and at least now I don't have an abomination of a fence to stare at anymore. I will likely build my own fence though, one that looks good and is structurally sound, and that spans my property line. Thanks to everyone for your input and advice, and if I learn who built the fence, I will be sure to update you again. Alright guys, that's the end of the episode today. Tell me what you thought about this r/legal advice saga that we've been through. I want to know any and all of your thoughts down in the comments. What do you have to give them advice? I'd love to hear your opinions, your hot takes, whatever you think about these stories today. As always, I hope you're having a good day in quarantine, whatever you're doing. Keep me in the know, keep me in the loop. I love your faces, and I'll see you in the next episode. Have a good morning, evening, night, whatever you're up to. Bye!